Okay, so maybe just because we only have a few minutes today, let's frame Parshat Shoftim within Sefer Dvarim. So very quickly, maybe Shua remembers this from last year. No, he doesn't. Okay, there you go. What is the purpose of the majority of Sefer Dvarim, if not all of it?
It's a repeat.
What?
It's the repeat.
So, right, we call it Mishnah Torah, right? Chazal call it Mishnah Torah. But how many of the laws here are actually repeats, and how many of them are new?
When he goes through most of the stories, he goes through...
So he goes through some of the stories, right? He goes through some of the stories, he goes through some of the laws, but it also introduces quite a few new ones, right? A lot of new ones, right? So what exactly, and, right, even if we say, well, it repeats certain things, okay, but what exactly is the purpose of those that are repeated? Meaning, if you just looked at it, right, to the extent that it's repeated, and we'll come to that in a second, that's merely descriptive. That doesn't explain the purpose. Like, why are these repeated here? Meaning, what is Sefer Dvarim, right? How long does Sefer Dvarim take? Let's, right, just set up basics here. How long does Sefer Dvarim take? We know the answer to this question.
A month?
A month, thank you. It's right. It's Moshe's final speech, right? This is not like a, right?
You're asking how many weeks does it take to finish, like...
No. Like the actual timeline, right? Okay, we did this last year, Shua, if you remember, right? Breshit takes how long?
I never came from Breshit is like 20 years.
It takes several thousand years, right? Shmot takes several hundred years, right? Several hundred years from the beginning of the Avdut until they leave. Vayikra takes 8 days. Takes 8 days. Vayikra is almost entirely frozen in time. It's laws. The only narrative is the week plus 1 day of the Miluim, right? Bamidbar takes
38 years.
Except that's really a trick question because it's only the first 2 years and the last year, right? Meaning it spans a little less than 40 years. But no, you're right. It means 30 years. But realistically, if you actually think about it, how much of the story takes place in about 2 years?
Okay, well, count under that logic. Shmuel takes.
No. I understand. I'm just saying you have to remember that Bamidbar, yes, takes about 40, a little less than 40 years, except several thousand, right, from the creation or however many years you think that is. But whatever, right? But Dvarim takes 30 days, right? It's Moshe's final speech. And the purpose of his speech in a nutshell is...
Pass on to Yeshua.
Pass what on? For what is he doing? What is he talking about?
He's talking about everything that's happening in all of the...
Why?
So recap.
Why?
He won't be there anymore?
Why? What is he doing? What types of laws actually end up here?
Laws about stuff.
Thank you. Right? The simple pshat understanding of Sefer Dvarim is this is Moshe's final speech. Now, some of it is just final Musar, like in a general sense. But the emphasis of Dvarim is not just like a generic end-of-life Musar. It is specifically, this is what you need to know. Historically, halachically, ethically, Musar-wise, as you begin to build a nation in Eretz Yisrael. Right? That is the nutshell. Even the spiritual, like Musari stuff, right? Like the second parak of Shema. What is the theme of the second parak of Shema?
If you worship idols, you will die.
No, not you will die. Right?
Suffer?
No, you will not survive in Israel. Right? Leman Yirbu. Where? Al Adama. Right? Meaning here, right? It's all about, if you keep the Torah, it will rain in Israel. Because in Israel, you have rain and not. Another thing that comes up over and over in Dvarim, you have rain and not the Nile. Right? Therefore, Eretz Yisrael is dependent on rain, and therefore you need to keep the Torah because God is more, whatever that means, present, let's say, actively involved in Israel. Right? So Sefer Dvarim is Moshe's final speech. It's specifically the speech that they need to go into Eretz Yisrael. Now, there is, therefore, reason to believe that Mishnah Torah doesn't mean this is a recap. It's a series of laws that were repeated many times throughout the Midbar, even if we haven't heard about it. Because remember, they were supposed to have gone to Eretz Yisrael almost 40 years ago, and now we repeat that set of laws when it actually happens. Now, with that framing, Shoftim makes a lot of sense, because what is Shoftim? Right? Basically, right, even though it's, right, this is an arbitrary division, but basically this explains why all the laws in Shoftim come up, because what is most of Shoftim about? What type of laws? And think about it. One of them are set up courts, king, Navi, right? This is laws about the different types of leaders that you will have. Why is that necessary as you go into Eretz Yisrael? Obviously, because when you go from being a nomadic people to being, right, to creating a nation state, right? That's when it becomes necessary to not just have one shofet, right, Moshe, or his 70, right, his 70 underlings, but to have, right, just contrast it. Until now you had Shoftim, you had the 70 Zikanim, and they're all basically with Moshe. That works if you're in a camp and you're wandering in a small little space. How does that get refracted through the lens of nationhood in a state? The first pasuk in this week's parsha. Yeah, that's the key. Right? It's not sure they had shoftim. It's titen lecha b'chol sha'arecha. Right? Is that you are going to be spread out. You're going to be building a country. You need to set up a government system. You need to set up a judiciary in each location. Right? Meaning, when you have to sort of, right, you have to rethink here. Right? You have to shift gears. Dvarim is very specifically laws that are constructed for statehood. And therefore, it's not just, we had Shoftim before, we have Shoftim now. It's before you had Shoftim around Moshe in the middle of the Machaneh. Now you have Shoftim v'Shotrim titen lecha b'chol sha'arecha. Right now, in each locale, in each city, you're going to have to set up a court, and then there'll be a central court, right? That you will come if they don't know the answer. They come to the Bez Nagadol in Yerushalayim. You need a king. If there's a Navi, right? A Navi like me will arise. It's not just going to be Moshe. It'll be another Navi which will come later on. And even all the other laws, right? Think about it. It's right. Even the other laws that come up, it's Avodah Zarah, sure. Except, right? How is Avodah Zarah presented in Dvarim? Ki matzeh v'kirbecha. If you find someone in your, then what?
Then you have to take care of it.
How? Then you have to go through the judicial process and etc., etc. El sha'arecha, right? This isn't, right? This is what you have to, right? This is just, I'll end with this, right? The one thing you need to keep in mind as we try to understand any of the laws from now to the end of Dvarim, or any of the stories, or any of the speeches, right? It isn't just random laws that happen to come up here, right? Even laws that appeared elsewhere or often in Dvarim, right? Or even institutions that existed in some form before Dvarim, when they're discussed in Dvarim, they're discussed from the lens of building a nation state in a country, right? And therefore, the laws are, when you set up a judiciary in your cities, and you hear that there's a crime in your cities, you have to go out, you have to investigate it, you have to follow the judicial process, and then you kill the person at the city gate. I mean, everything there is from the vantage point of how are these laws going to be manifest in a Jewish nation state in Israel, right? And that really explains the framing of Sefer Dvarim, and we'll see that more as we go through some of the details in Shoftim. Okay,